Hello, everyone. Welcome to This, That, and the Other, where we talk about Detroit and MSU sports. It's the day before the NFL draft, round one, on Thursday. Kind of snuck up on me a little bit. Felt like it was taking a while to get here because it's the only sporting thing on the radar for a long time. But I don't know. At the same time, it kind of snuck up on me too, so it's kind of weird. But the Lions had the third overall pick, as you guys all know, and I just can't even find a way to think positively about it because of the general manager and the coach that we have. You know, not so much the owner, because I think the owner tries to make informed decisions on who they're hiring, and I do think Martha Ford has been more proactive to changing things so far in her short tenure as the Lions owner. But so I do feel like she would make changes, but there's a lot of uncertainty about who's taken over once she passes away, because she's almost 100 years old. And boy, I feel I've never felt further away from a Super Bowl or even a playoff win with the Lions in the past 20 years than I do right now, because to me it seems completely obvious that they're heading in the wrong direction with the coaching and general manager position, the two most important positions in the NFL. Those are the two positions you need to have success. Ownership is important as well, but I mean, ownership really only restricts how much money you spend, and the Lions have not had a problem spending money. But right now, their problem is that top free agents don't want to come to Detroit, and the players that are on the roster aren't happy with the situation with Patricia. The players just don't like him, and they're trying to compare it to New England, and I think it's the worst comparison you can make. And there's a number of reasons why they're pretty obvious, but Patricia, players don't like Patricia, and Patricia's not a good coach. So even if he was a good coach, players still don't like him, and it's kind of like a never-ending circle. So they've already lost Snacks, Darius-slay, and Glover Quinn retired, and he didn't have positive things to say about Patricia either. Everyone who leaves Detroit seems to have negative things to say now that they're not in the organization anymore. And I watched a Darius-slay interview, and he was like, it was a very awkward interview because he almost felt like he was holding back. Like there was a lot of more things he wanted to say, but he was afraid. It seemed like he was kind of just almost afraid to speak his mind fully. He talked about feeling disrespected by Patricia, but I watched it, and I just thought that he was holding something back. And they trade Quandre Diggs, and this trying to be like New England is just not working. Seems like the Lions have always tried to emulate other teams that were successful, and I know it sounds dumb to say, but they just need to try to make their own brand of football, something that something new that hasn't been thought of, because this NFL is not a copycat league. It's not a league where you can just fall into a system. It's not like a self-help book or a 10-week program where you're watching a YouTube video to see how someone else became successful. They have to create their own brand. Right now they have no brand, and it's just utterly embarrassing to be a Lions fan right now, more than ever in my opinion. And it's never good when you get the feeling that you're on the back end of something that you're not hopeful about at all. It's one thing to think, okay, Patricia's going into a pivotal career defining year. And if he, maybe it's just my maturity, but the optics of it just show that Patricia is not going to be a successful head coach, and I almost don't want him to be successful because the things that I've been hearing players say about him, not someone I would almost want to root for. So I'll root for the Lions, but it's I'm 100% sure he's going to fail. But like I said, I don't even know if I'd want him to succeed at this point, just because of how bad of a person it sounds like he is. And Bob Quinn hired a personal friend who had no qualifications being an NFL head coach. And, he fired Jim Caldwell. Some people were saying it was racist at the time. I never really subscribed to that, but, it sure as hell doesn't look good. You got a pasty white general manager and hires his best friend over a guy that, was basically a 9-7 head coach. If you look at his overall record. Made the playoffs 2 times out of 4. Had probably the best team that they've had in the 2000s easily. In 2014, they had a fantastic defense. Offense was a little bit never quite got it clicking like it should have, but they were a contending team, and they went down to the wire with Dallas, and don't want to go down a Raptor trail, but you look at that game was the one team where you felt like had the potential to win playoff games, and maybe get on a roll and get to the Super Bowl, and that's a little bit tongue in cheek, but the fact is they did fire that guy, and they did hire a guy who looks completely incompetent. So again, I'm not gonna say that was what was. It's not racism. It's definitely nepotism, I believe is the word. But we're just waiting for this whole thing to crash down. And I've never been one of the people who is just waiting. I've always been kind of like I root for my teams, and good and bad. I don't ever really root for them to tank. But in this NFL draft, the thing I'm hoping for the most is that they get into a position they can't screw up. Like, hopefully Chase Young is there at the 3rd pick, and if they don't take him, hopefully we all riot in a sense, not literally, but hopefully there's kind of a revolt against the Quinn and Patricia era. But Quinn really has not hit on very many draft picks. I think he's a safe drafter, and he hasn't even been that safe because, look at Tia's Tabor, and, his 2nd round picks have been, complete utter failures so far for the most part. And, Jared Davis has been inconsistent. They've reached for players. You can make an argument they reached for Hawkinson, although I do think Hawkinson was worth the pick. I really actually do like that pick. I really do think he has potential to be a very good All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber player. I can kind of tell by the way he plays. My general rule is whatever the best game a rookie has is kind of what you can expect to see over the course of their career, and with consistency. But as far as the draft is concerned, there's been all sorts of rumors swirling around. Anything from the Dolphins are looking to trade in front of them to take a tackle, to the Dolphins are trying to take Justin Herbert, to the Redskins. They're looking to trade out of their position, and the Lions are trying to trade down. You name it. And the rumors are getting a little bit crazy, and these are by very respected people. And I don't think, if you just a couple of examples. If you listen to Mike Valenti, they've been talking a lot about the Lions trying to trade out of that 3 spot, get another 2nd round pick, and move down to 5 because the player they want would be there anyways. he doesn't think they're going to be able to do that. And I've heard another person say the Dolphins have no interest in trading. They're going to take Justin Herbert. And I think that's absurd. I don't think Justin Herbert is going to make it in the NFL. But, from what I've been hearing, everyone loves Tua, seems like. And, there's been a lot of people saying that the Lions should take Tua. And, I'm in a very unique position because it seems like the people who want Patricia gone are also people who want Stafford gone and they want to draft Tua. But the people who want Patricia to stay, they want to stay with Stafford. I'm in a mixed position. I want Patricia out of here. I want Quinn out of here. I want to keep Stafford. Hopefully, have 5 good years. Get a serious head coach in here. And, the stuff I was talking about earlier with the general manager and the coach, it might not seem related to the draft, but, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, no pun intended, with Patricia, just see that, without a general manager and a coach that's competent, there's no chance of even having a good draft. You might get lucky and have the best player available at 3, and it's an obvious decision, but that's really your only hope. Quinn and Patricia are trying to win now. They're not really interested, or they're trying to save their jobs now, which doesn't even mean they need to make the playoffs. They just have to have meaningful games in November, and that was the only stipulation, or December. That was the only stipulation that was given to them. So they're gonna try to get 1-year fixed players. They're gonna reach for players who probably shouldn't be drafted, early on, like Okuda, who's sounds like a good player, but the thing that upsets me, that pisses me off about that, is you pissed off Darius-Slay, who was a proven Pro Bowl cornerback, one of the best in the league at one point in time, and he's gone now. Now you're trying to replace him with a rookie, and they can't keep players here anyways. But they're just it's kind of like a leaky boat at this point. It doesn't matter how well they draft if the players don't want to stay here. So I think if Quinn had any cojones, I think he would fire his best friend. Make a big boy alpha move and fire Patricia, and then I'd gain a little bit of trust back in him. But the Lions are probably destined to take this Okuda. I think he's going to be a good player, but I think he's a reach, and I don't think he's the right pick. I don't think corners are a top 5 pick kind of position. I really think that they need to trade back if they're going to take him. And ideally, I love Stafford, but drafting Tua couldn't only help you. If you have a competent backup that you can trade at a certain point, a superstar caliber player, and they want to stick for Stafford for the next 5-10 years, they can do that, and they can get a hell of a lot of value for Tua. And as long as they just don't piss him off. And I'm sure he'll be willing to wait at least 1 or 2 years before they move him. Past the first round, I think they need to work on the linebacker position or the wide receiver position. The interior line I'm not worried about, because I think that those positions are kind of set up that almost anyone can succeed if you're at the NFL level. It seems like anyone can grow up in that position to be a great player. And, they do need to get receivers, but at the end of the day, I expect them to take Okuda, and ideally I'd have them trade back to take him, or just take Tua. And I guess that's all I got for you guys. I guess we'll see what happens in this draft. Still want to say that I'm behind the team, and go Lions. But that's all I got. Take care, you guys.